So, it turns out Doom has finally got itself an arcade mode. I wasn't expecting this at all. What a lovely surprise. What a wonderful addition to what is quite frankly already a fantastic game. And you know what's even better about this whole thing? It's the fact that this is free. It's not paid DLC, it's part of free update number 4, and all current owners of Doom 2016 have access to it. All potential future owners of Doom 2016 have access to it, and it's just wonderful. I've been consistently bowled over by the sheer level of support that Doom has received since release, and this is obviously in the form of the previous free updates that expand stuff like snap map functionality and add other little fun stuff like centered weapon models. Even if I didn't end up using that stuff all that much, it's nice to know that things are being tweaked, little things are being added, but this is certainly the most significant addition, especially with regards to single player to date. So what exactly do you get with arcade mode? Well, clue is in the name. It's a much more arcadey experience, with emphasis here being on getting as high a score as possible by the end of any given run. You don't have to play any of these levels in any particular order, and all of your suit options are unlocked. That goes for runes too. The only thing you'll really need to think about there is which runes you want to take with you, the maximum being 3. Also, the weapons you have to deal with are restricted to what weapons would be available during that particular campaign mission. So, unfortunately, no rampaging through the UAC with a BFG. That's just not how it's done here in arcade mode. You have to deal with the available tools. So, when it comes down to pulling off a successful run in arcade mode and hopefully netting yourself a Slayer medal, your fortunes will largely lie with the multiplier at the top of the screen there and making sure it stays as high as possible. The maximum value you can have there is a 32 times multiplier, and you generally increase that by pulling off successive kills. The more kills you pull off, the higher the multiplier will go. If you keep pulling off kills, the multiplier will stay high. However, if you experience a lull in kills, you'll notice that the gauge around the multiplier will begin to decrease. You can maintain that gauge by picking up items between kills, but if it hits the bottom, it steps the multiplier down and you have to build it up all over again. Additionally, taking hits from enemies will cause that gauge to reduce a hell of a lot quicker, so in general it takes a fairly skillful player to maintain the highest possible multiplier value here, and that's something you'll definitely want to be doing if you want that Slayer medal, and even more so if you want to get that top spot on the leaderboard. As far as I can tell, the points that you get from killing enemies is also somewhat tied into the difficulty that you choose to play on. So, for example, if you get the Slayer medal while playing on Ultra-Violence difficulty, you still won't place anywhere near as high on the leaderboard as someone who got the Slayer medal while playing on Ultra Nightmare difficulty. So there's definitely some kind of point inflation going on between those difficulty modes. Essentially, you should be treating any difficulty below Ultra Nightmare as training. You should be aiming to eventually be able to complete a run on Ultra Nightmare. That's where the gloves are all off. That's where one death means starting over all over again. Because below that, you can use lives. So during the course of a level, you may spot the little Doom Guy collectibles hovering around, and if you pick those up, they add to your lives, which you can see at the top left of the screen. And when you die, it essentially allows you to roll back to a checkpoint and carry on from where you left off and keep the points that you accrued up to that point. But the problem with that is that you lose your multiplier. You have to go build that multiplier up again, and for me personally, I don't really see the point of doing that. I'd much rather do a single clean run, because that will give you the highest possible chance of getting that Slayer medal, of getting that highest possible score. One new addition to the game that I quite enjoy in arcade mode is the inclusion of mines. You'll usually see them floating around in arenas during the course of your runs, and if you shoot them, they'll explode. If you've got any low-tier enemies hanging around them, they'll generally fall to bits and add nicely to whatever combo you've currently got going on. But the other thing that these do, which is quite interesting, is that when they explode, they also eject a relic. And if you catch this relic quick enough, you'll get a nice, lovely bonus. Now, if you take a little bit of time getting to that relic, the bonus that you'll receive from it may actually degrade. It'll go from a gold relic to a silver relic, down to a bronze relic at the bottom. And it adds this nice little timed element to detonating mines. You know full well you're going to have to move fairly quickly and in the right direction if you want to squeeze as many points as possible out of that relic. And the interesting wrinkle to all of this is that enemies can also set off mines, be it with a rogue projectile or otherwise. So you got to keep an ear open, because the sound it makes is fairly distinctive, and as soon as you hear that, you know you've only got so much time left before that relic degrades and the opportunity for a big old bunch of points is lost. So yeah, I think it's safe to say this is a pretty damn fun addition to a pretty damn good game. One that, in my opinion, gives the single player a whole new lease of life, because personally, up until this point, I was largely done with the single player component of Doom 2016. I thought I'd wrung as much fun as I was going to get out of that single player mode, but now that we've got arcade mode, I just feel suddenly compelled to do it all over again, on Ultra Nightmare mode no less, because that's the only way to get those higher scores, that's the only way to trouble the top spot of the leaderboard, and it has unlocked somewhat of a competitive streak within me. There's something quite satisfying about being able to point at a leaderboard and say, look at that, I'm better than you, just rub everyone's faces in it. So I think I'm going to be playing this for a fair while, and thank you very much, id Software. Thank you very much for including this in free update number 4. And for all of you out there, if you've been itching for an excuse to revisit Doom 2016, then this is it right here. It's free, it's part and parcel of the game now. Go nuts, have fun. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments below. This has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.